Hello, welcome to ScriptWave. In our previous lectures, we discussed about the basics of Python. From today's lecture, we'll be discussing the advanced topics and logical topics in Python. Without any further ado, let's see a quick agenda for this lecture. So first, we'll start with an introduction for control flow statements. Then we'll see the basic if statements. Then we'll add an else to this if statements, which makes it as if else. Then we'll see elif statements. Let's start with an introduction for control flow statements. Let's start with the problem that we are facing and then we'll try to find a solution. Real life isn't always linear, so we don't move in a linear path. We need programs to react to different situations. So we need different programs to react in different situations. One good example, let's take I want to attend the class at 9 o'clock. Then I should wake up early, I should be prepared, I should have my breakfast, I should pack my bag with my laptop, connectors, etc. Here, based on one decision, the other set of things are changing. Let's take I don't want to attend, maybe it's a Sunday, so there is no class. What will I do? I'll wake up at 9 o'clock maybe, I'll have my breakfast very late, I'll bath late, so everything will change based on one decision. So in a similar way, in programming, we also have cases where we need to alter based on specific conditions and react on those conditions. By default, Python executes code sequentially, that is from top to bottom, line by line. This we already know. Control flow statements break this sequential execution based on condition. So let's take if it is moving from top to bottom, then we'll add a condition. Based on this condition, it either moves to the next step by skipping few set of instructions or proceed with this set of instructions. They allow your program to make decisions, execute specific block of code or skip others entirely. So this allows us to execute specific blocks based on a condition or skip if the condition is not satisfying. Very important point, if you are from other language like C language, you will have some curly braces. Whereas in Python, we don't use curly braces. Instead, we use indentation. Indentation means the space. Let's take if I want to declare if maybe a less than or a greater than 10, we add the statements from here. So this is called as indentation, the space. Usually we'll have 4 spaces, that is a tab for cleaner look. But even if you add a single space, that will work, there is no issues. Incorrect indentation will cause an indentation error. So if you have any incorrect indentation, then you will get indentation error. Why is it important? So let's understand why control flow statements are important. Without control flow, programs would run line by line, unable to adapt to different situations or handle repetitive tasks efficiently. So we'll be talking about repetitive tasks in the next lectures, that is the loops. However, we need to handle different situations based on different conditions. So we need this control flow statements. Control flow statements make your code dynamic, intelligent, and powerful. With control flow statements, we are making our code dynamic, intelligent, and powerful. Let's start with the if statement. So here we have the basic if statements. It's very simple. We have the program execution from top to bottom, as you know. So let's consider we have multiple lines here. And we have a condition here, that is test expression. If it is false, it won't execute these lines. Instead, it move to the next one. If it is true, then it moves to if body. This is the flow diagram. Let's try to understand using this example. So here we are picking the temperature from the user, enter current temperature. If the temperature is greater than 25, then we are saying it's a hot day, you should drink plenty of water. If the temperature is less than 25, let's take 24, then it will not execute. Instead, it will just have one print statement, that is have a great day. So this will be entirely skipped based on the condition that we have. Now question, can we add only one condition? You can add any combination, as you have logical operators like AND, OR, etc. The final output should be only Boolean. If it is non-Boolean, then you'll get an error. Make sure this condition should always return a Boolean value. Let's move further. So the if else statements, the else block catches everything that the if condition missed. That means, so instead of we having only one block, here we'll have 2 blocks. One is for if, which works only if it is true, and else, which works only if it is false. Now question, how many number of lines I can add inside if block? You can add any number of lines. How many number of lines in else? You can add many number. Now one more question, can I add one more if statement inside if? Yes, you can add. The syntax will be something like, let's do this one when we are writing the code so that it will be cleaner. So let's move forward with the elif statements. So here, before moving to that, let's try to understand the program. So here we are getting the user age. Maybe you can add an input function, maybe int input, enter your age. So this will give us the age of the user. Based on the user's age, we are giving the access. Maybe you can also add it as vote, because vote ID will only be given if the user is 18 above. So here we are trying to check if the user is above 18 or equal to 18, then we are able to give the voter ID. Else, if this fails, then it will move to this part. Access denied, you must be 18 or older. So here we are just printing. We can add any number of if statements inside if. You can add any number of if statements inside else as well. Let's try to do these combinations once we start writing the code. But let's move forward with the next concept, that is the elif. So the multiple conditions using elif. So what is elif? The if will check for only condition and else will return if the above condition is false. Whereas elif checks for multiple conditions. So here we have multiple blocks of expressions that we can test, and if everything fails, then we still have else statement. Now question, should we add else every time when we use elif? No, we can skip adding else if you don't have a condition or a scope for adding else. This is optional. Now let's try to see the syntax. The score is 85, and if score is above or equal to 90, we are grading it as A grade. If the score is equal to or above 80, then we are grading it as B grade, C grade, F, etc. Here the important thing that need to be remembered is it will check for one condition at a time, and if one condition is true, then it will execute that block and it will move to the next set of instructions. It will not check for the next one. Only if above is false, only then it will move to the next one to check if this is true or not, if this is true or not. If this is true, then it will skip and it will move to the next one immediately. So only one condition should be true. If more conditions will be true, the first one will be validated and the next one will be skipped. So remember this one when you are writing the elif statements. So that's it for this lecture, the theory part. In the next lecture, we'll be discussing about the code for all these functions that we have learned. So thank you so much. Have a great day. See you in the next lecture.